So many people in debt are wondering how to get out of debt on a low income. And let me first say, if you're struggling and sinking in debt, fully understand that is a very difficult place to be. In this video, what I want to do is walk you through how to get out of debt, even if your income is low, and show you what patterns and decisions you can be making to help you see you can get out of debt, remove that noose around your neck, and you can actually live free. Let's get into the video. Hey there, my name is Mike Fritz. I'm the founder of Titanium Capital Investments and the Multifamily CEO System. My greatest passion is to help people create financial freedom through real estate investing. And part of that is first learning how to get out of debt and manage money. And that's why in this video, I really want to help you see how to get out of debt. Nothing strangles you more in life than when you can't even send a gift to somebody who truly matters to you, or connect with your spouse out at a dinner, or give something to your children that you really want to give them that you didn't have, but debt is strangling that experience. So when I say getting out of debt, to me, it's not just removing a number, it's regaining your life. And this is what I want to help you do today. Eliminating debt is really about three things: income, expenses, and management. And most people mess up on one of those three things. Their income is either too low for them to live the type of life that they are either living or want to live. Their expenses are too high for the type of income that they make, or their expenses are too high in order to keep up with that level of living, or it's simply poor management. And often this is what happens. Most people don't know how much they spend on gas and food in a month. And because they don't know that, they really can't adjust and shift that. But understanding debt's really only about three things: getting your income up, getting your expenses down, and getting a management system in place so you have some assistance when you're making a decision to let you know, should I get this or not? Because we've all been there. You've been walking around the store, you see something you want, you go to buy it, and something pops into your head. I don't know, should I really spend the money on this? Well, what makes that decision? What makes the decision of should I put a little bit more on my credit card or not? What makes the decision of should I take it home or not? Well, this is why we need a management system in place. And today I want to walk you through how to make sure these three things are working for you and not against you. Number one is maybe the most depressing tip I'm going to give you, but it's to document your debt. It's simply to get the numbers in front of us so we understand the bullseye. I used to be an archer. I love to shoot bow and arrows. I always have. I love to hunt, and I love to do things like this. But I can tell you, without a target, I don't really have anything to shoot at. And here's the thing. If you don't have a target and understand this is how much debt we have, this is our finish line, it just seems like the number's so big you can't ever get to it. So then what happens is debt just simply becomes a way of life and not something to truly eliminate. So the first thing I want you to do is document your debt. I want you to pull out a piece of paper and I want you to write every piece of debt that's in your life, not including a mortgage payment if you have a mortgage payment. I want you to write down every credit card. I want you to write down every 6 months, same as cash line of credit you have with stores. I want you to write down your car payments. I want you to write down every single piece of debt you have on a piece of paper so you can see the overall number. Because without knowing that number, I don't have anything to shoot at. Because again, eliminating debt's about three things: income, expenses, and management. Part of management is know what I'm actually managing. And to know that number, it might be depressing. You might find, oh my gosh, we are $20,000 in debt or more. How are we ever going to hit this number? Well, I can guarantee you're not going to hit it unless we know what the finish line actually is. The thing I love about documenting debt is numbers aren't emotional. We are emotional about what numbers represent. Like if somebody walked up to my door today and gave me a $10,000 check, I might be emotionally excited about that, but the number's not emotional. Your debt doesn't have a right or wrong. Your number, it's not emotional. So by putting the numbers down, there's no emotion in it except the emotion we give to it. So what I want you to do is change it on its head and make it a positive emotion. When you see that number, I want you to literally see that is the number you as a family or as a single are tracking down every single day. The average American family right now has over $9,000 in credit card debt. And this is really hurting us as a country. And it's maybe hurting you as a family. And what I want to help you do is understand, by knowing that number, what is our number as a family? What is my number as a single? What is my debt I have to knock out? I want to get that number on a piece of paper, and I would literally put it on a sticky note and put debt that is being eliminated. And I want to see that everywhere. I want to see it on your fridge, on your car door. I want to see it everywhere. everywhere. I'm half joking, but I truly want you to see this number as an inspiration. This is what we as a team are tracking for. It doesn't have to be depressing. It can be, listen, this is the number we have. Let's not get emotional about it. Let's just get serious about knocking it out. And the second thing is to track our spending. Because remember, it's income, expenses, and management. Let's track our spending. Where is our money going? So debt is seeing where our money has gone. Now, spending is seeing where is it continually going. This is really the opportunity to start plugging holes in the bucket. Because often income is like water that goes into a bucket, and we have holes in that bucket where that leaks out every single month. And often we have a lot more month at the end of the money. And what we want to do is we want to start plugging up those holes so we're not leaking out in our spending. For me, part of tracking spending is actually integrity. It's saying, listen, let's just admit this is what we're spending our money on. Let's figure it out. If I'm spending $500 a month on eating out, I want to know that, because I can't really deal with what I do not know. And that's why tracking spending is really, really important. There's a great app for tracking your spending called YNAB. You Need a Budget. That's what it stands for. YNAB. You can snag that app, start putting your expenses in it, and you can start seeing where your money's going every single month. If you're eating out, you're tracking that. You get gas, you're tracking that. Go to the grocery store, you're tracking that. You're paying for clothes, tracking that. Your son needs football equipment, we're tracking that, because we want to see where all of this stuff is going. So we're going to start tracking our spending. But this is two things. It's not only recurring bills, your mortgage, your electric bill, your car payments, private school, if you have kids in private school, all of our recurring bills. But then we're going to track our monthly spending that's not necessarily recurring. Food may happen every month, but it's not the same every month. Clothing, we might have to buy every other month or renew our clothing, but it's not happening every month. So we want to see our recurring bills, and then we want to see the specialty bills that we're paying out month after month after month, or every other month, or even once a year. I want to see what that number is, because again, it's in management. Knowledge is our friend. Data is our friend when we're trying to eliminate debt. We want to see what our debt number is. And then the second thing, we want to take a step further and say, okay, but where am I spending my money? Because what will it take to pay off debt? Money. Spending is what? It's where your money is going. Well, if you want to stop your money from going to some places and start shooting it to your debt, we have to start plugging those holes. So by tracking your spending, you're seeing where it's going. Now we can start to manage that and start redirecting it towards that number and start knocking out our debt month after month after month. Before I get to the last 3 tips, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We love giving tons of financial advice and real estate content to help everybody achieve financial freedom. Can you imagine having the freedom to give and the freedom to live anytime you wanted to? Make sure you subscribe to the channel and also smash that bell notification so you get notified every time we put out a video, which is every single weekday. Let's get back to the video. So after you've tracked your spending, now it's time to eliminate the unnecessary. Remember, money's going to the right. We need it to go to the left and knock out debt. Well, when we eliminate the unnecessary going to the right, we can redirect it to the left to start knocking down our debt. But without that transition, debt just grows and it never really fixes it. It never fixes itself so that we can achieve that freedom. I cannot explain to you how powerful it is to be financially free. At the end of the video, I'm going to share a story with you on how I eliminated my own debt and how the debt almost took me out. So when you're eliminating those unnecessary bills, look at cable. Who needs cable? Let's be honest. Most TV shows are awful anyway. Cut your cable. Cut things you do not need. If you have a huge phone plan, see if you can limit your phone plan a little bit for a few months. Again, why? So we can redirect that money. A big one for me when I was trying to eliminate my debt was eating out. Eating out is one of my favorite things to do. And I was realizing, man, I'm spending a lot of money eating out. I used to own a construction business, and instead of taking my lunch, I ate out every single day. Well, that made it really hard as my debt started to pile up years ago for me to really take that debt out. And I had to start making some changes. So part of it, not only seeing where our debt is, and then again, seeing where are we spending, now we take all of our expenses and say, what's unnecessary and can I cut out? And I want to really reiterate here, be radical for a time so you can live radically forever. Understand? Be radical for a time. Be willing to say, listen, as a family, we're not going to watch TV for a couple months because we're going to cut our bill and we're going to play games and connect. Because the truth of the matter is, your financial freedom will teach your kids way more than sitting in front of the TV ever will. And so when we go that direction and we say, you know what, kids, we've realized we haven't been that great with our money, so mom and dad and I, we're going to cut that off and we're going to really seek to hit this debt. You just taught your kids more than you ever will with a financial class. And so what I want to say is, let's cut off what we don't need so that we can pay off what we have, and so we can start living financially free. Get radical. Get more radical than you think you should. Get uncomfortably radical with the amount of cutting out you're doing so that you can again see that debt number start to go down. Because when debt numbers go down, freedom numbers go up. The fourth tip is live on cash only. I love the idea of living on cash only because the reason we're in debt is because we're living on money we're actually not making. It's fake. It's fake money. We're actually not living on money that we're making. We're living on money maybe we wish we made, but we're living on money that we're not making. So for a time, if you live on only money you're making, then what it does, again, it cuts off the continued debt cycle. Because the truth is, if you cut up your credit cards and you're no longer piling up the debt, that if it's at 10,000, it won't creep up to 11 or 12 or 13. Because what often happens when people start chasing their debt, if they don't cut that spending off, the debt just runs faster than they can. And we want to make sure that the debt stays where it is, so as we track it down, we can catch up. And we can do that by living on cash only and not adding to the problem. So every month, lay out your expenses, you know them now, because now you've laid them out, right? And see what kind of cash do we actually need to live, figure out that number. If the numbers you need to live are higher than the number you make, then we need to make a shift in our income earning. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. But the truth is, we have to make sure that debt number doesn't keep growing. One of the most important things is what we call cutting the legs off. We don't want that thing running any further. We want to cut the legs off of your debt. And the way you do that is by living on cash only, because you can't go into debt with cash, right? So you use cash for a time so that you can start tracking that debt down. Some studies have been done when people use cash versus credit cards. They've attached things to people's brain that can tell them when pain receptors go off. And pain receptors go off much harder when people pay with cash than with a credit card. People actually spend 15 to 20% more on a credit card than they do when they're using cash, because there's greater pain associated when letting cash go than when I'm just swiping a card. And now that we can even just wave our phone over a scanner, now the pain is even less. So pulling my credit card out, it's even more painful than just scanning my phone over and having it paid for. So now we've got cash is the most painful, then credit cards, and now we've got an even system that associates less pain. I love the convenience, but when we've distanced ourselves from the fact that money's actually leaving our account or our debt's increasing, when we don't stand in the pain of that, we often don't change that. And I want you to change that. When paying for cash and your cashier says that'll be $95 and you have to put out $95 bills, it's a whole different ballgame than just swiping and walking to the car. And I want to, again, make sure we stop the debt from running and we make sure that we can redirect money to take it out. Since we've talked about figuring out our debt numbers, figuring out our expenses, starting to manage those expenses, now it's time to increase our income a little bit. And I do believe, especially in tracking down debt, a side hustle is really, really important. So you don't have to worry about only the income you're making. Because if only the income I'm making is going towards my debt, it's going to go forward at a very slow pace. But if I can take an extra job, a weekend job, drive for Uber, drive for Lyft, I can start doing some online consignment sales, I can start doing something that makes a little bit of extra money, then guess what? You're going to be able to track that debt down faster. But I don't just call it a side hustle. It's really a freedom hustle. It's a freedom hustle because you're hustling after freedom. That's what you want to think about this. Because when you're going to your side hustle and you might miss a kid's game and it might hurt, like, man, I can't be there, but you understand, no, I'm getting us out of debt as a family so we can spend a lot more time together. It's a freedom hustle. But the next thing we have to do is we have to increase that income. Because now that we've stopped the debt from growing, and we've cut off unnecessary so we can redirect more money to that, a side hustle can give us an extra $100 a week maybe that we could shoot towards that debt, or even maybe even more, and you can shoot towards that debt and see that debt go down faster and faster and faster. My greatest passion is to help you live financially free. You'll never do that with the anchor of debt weighing you down. We want to get out of this. Another side hustle is real estate. If you're new to our channel, we have a lot of content here about real estate because real estate is what helped me and my wife achieve financial freedom. It changed our lives to be able to make money every single month without having to work for it. We still have businesses and jobs that we do, but our money comes in from our real estate. We're not there fixing toilets and leaky faucets. We're doing what we do. We're running our businesses and money's coming in every single month. And by the way, if you're like, yeah, but how do I get real estate if I'm trying to get out of debt and I don't have any money? There's a lot of ways to get into real estate without capital. Make sure you look around our channel because we have a lot of videos helping you progress even if you don't have any capital. My wife and I got married when we were 20, so we knew absolutely nothing but thought we knew everything. And let me tell you, when we were that young and our debt started piling up more and more and more until I got out of college, I realized, we were in debt about $20,000 on credit cards alone. And I looked at my wife and I'm like, why are we holding this around like it's a household pet? We have to start attacking this so that we can be free. So now my wife and I have a lifetime mission statement for our family, and that's the freedom to give and the freedom to live. Meaning we don't ever want somebody in our sphere of influence to need something in which we can't fill that need. And the second thing is we don't ever want to get called by God to do something and not be able to do it because of money. Debt will never allow those two things to be true. And so debt almost ruined us. I remember one month I was coming home from a job I was doing. I was working construction, and literally we couldn't pay rent that month. They were talking about evicting us because we couldn't pay rent. And that is when I started to get real serious about, I don't want this life anymore. And if you've come to that conclusion about not wanting this life anymore, let me give you some inspiration. You don't have to. I don't care what you grew up with or your socioeconomic background now or where you came from. Everything forward can be different. That's why I've put this video together. So make sure that you go through these tips, but this is not just a video. This is a journey to freedom, and that's what I want to give you. And I also want to give you a free gift. If you want to get into real estate, I have a free multifamily masterclass for you, which is a great way to start your side hustle. And I've gotten into a lot of multifamily deals with no capital. So I have a link below. Go ahead and click that link, and I'm going to give you a free video on how to bust into real estate with no money.